I'd like to call this meeting of the Elkhorn City Common Council to order. Could you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Bruce Lechner is absent. Tim Sharota.
Here.
Gary Payson Jr.
Here.
Ron Dunwoody.
Here.
Scott McClory.
Here.
Ken Minell.
Here.
Carol Young. Here.
Do we have anybody here for public comment? Would anyone like to be heard? Yes, could you, I've got to read a little statement, and then could you come up and state your name? Public comments are limited to 3 minutes each. The public may speak on any item of city concern, whether or not the topic is included in this agenda. However, if the topic does not pertain to an item listed on the council agenda, the council is not permitted to address or discuss the matter during this meeting. Under open meeting laws, the council must notice an item on the agenda to allow discussion on that matter. If council is not permitted to discuss your concerns, your comments will be considered and may be placed on a future agenda for further discussion. Could you come up to the podium, please, and state your name?
Yes, sir. My name is Matt Rucker, and I live in Walworth County here in the town of Geneva, and in the school district and on a piece of land in the city. I know that this project that's, being discussed and possibly decided on tonight about the apartments and the multi-use, there's been a lot. I don't know, where it stands, but I just wanted to share that I can't tell you how important I think it is to this city, this county, the community, from the people, the economic development, the companies, and the long-term future. And I say that, I have 3 young children, and I can't tell you how many people I talk to who participate in activities here, sports here, but they live in Delavan or McGuanago or Burlington, but they come here for the schools. And the second thing I would share, and again, I'm sure this has all been discussed, but my background is I've been involved in countless siting decisions as my role as a CFO and COO of different companies over the years, and been involved in, whether to site a plant in Europe, in a small village in Germany, or in Iowa. And I was even on the chair of a group in Cincinnati for years, and we tried to attract businesses from Europe. We called it insourcing. And the schools, and what's so important is the community. And the schools, the availability of workers, and it's in having housing close by. And I also know, working with companies here, that we desperately as consultants, trying to find workers, and people are coming from Illinois. And so I just, and it's having this and having workers here will benefit. It's rarely a win-win-win, but I can see it benefiting the county overall, the finances of the city, the community, and this type of project will bring young people here, may keep young people here that went to MATC, for example, and then they will eventually have families and become part of this community, and can easily lead to decisions, because I'm again not trying to say I'm cool or important, but I mean, I've sat in boardrooms 50 feet in the air in Chicago with private equity firms, and it's, do we put it in a town of 5,000 people in Iowa or 5,000 people in Ohio? And we talked about all these things. And I know, for example, even Cary Foods, when they made their decision to build their headquarters in Beloit, the Walworth County, Elkhorn and Lake Geneva and the school districts were all part of that discussion, because They have offices in Milwaukee and they have offices in Beloit. So this is wonderful. I'm over my time, but
Okay,
I just
thank you.
commend the city for its efforts and wanted to share my support, and I think there could not be a more wonderful thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. We appreciate your comments. Thank you. Under new business, we've got a discussion and possible decision regarding proposed ordinance number 23-13, an ordinance to approve the planned unit development overlay district and general development plan for Creekside Community Development, a mixed-use development located on South Lincoln Street at the intersection of Deer Road. A first and possible second reading. And
I make a motion to waive the first reading.
I'll second that.
we have a motion and a second to waive the first reading. Any discussion?
I don't know. Some of the Creekside representatives are here. I don't know if they want to say anything, or
I have Elaine on the line as well.
we also have our outside legal counsel who helped work on this is also on the line in case council has any questions about it. I don't know. Elaine, if you can hear us?
Elaine, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. It was kind of breaking up a little bit.
Is it better now?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
My understanding is that all the concerns we had been met, other than some minor items. So it looks like this project can go ahead, so unless I'm wrong about that.
Did you want to talk about the changes that were made to from the ones in the packet, or is that for a different item? I thought it was this one.
No, I'm actually glad you mentioned that, Matt. There's just one proposed change with respect to the ordinance itself, which Matt's got up there in red. It just has to do with a real minor procedural, just specifying that as part of this project, the GDP technically covers the residential commercial portions of the project, but as you can tell from the plan, the commercial is kind of unknown right now. And so right now, if those commercial parcels are developed, which obviously there is a CSM next on the item, next on the agenda, but if those commercial parcels are developed, the proposed change you'd see up there in red just specifies that the developer is going to have to come back and submit basically assuming that their plan or proposal is a dramatic change from what you see on the GDP now, which is obviously just an estimate as to what might be there. They would have to come back and submit their own GDP process. So they'd have to submit a revised GDP. So that's really all that red text is, just clarifying that. I know it was a question the developer had. And so that was in talking with Elaine. She sent that revised language today. So that's what you see up there on the screen. It's just a real minor procedural. So.
Does anyone have any further questions or discussion?
The only thing I would just mention is I did get a letter from a constituent near the property who, under this proposal, under the GDP, the developer has to, is addressing stormwater that's going to be on the residential apartment side under the development agreement that we have, and as part of the GDP, the future developers of the commercial would have to maintain their own, would have to take care of the stormwater on their own parcels. So you'll see that there isn't anything planned in terms of knowing what kind of stormwater pond or retention or facility is going to be used for those commercial parcels. So the person the neighbor who's concerned about this wanted the council to require the developer to incorporate stormwater maintenance and management for the entire parcel as part of this GDP, and not put the commercial parcels as far as a future issue. So I'm just relaying that is the neighbor's concern. They think it would be better to handle everything right now all at once. And then this neighbor's also concerned about making sure that, water runoff from their property is not impacted by this development. So, and I know water runoff has been a major concern of Kapoor. There's been a lot of discussions about it. I know Toronto's I should say Creekside, has spent a lot of time talking about it and will still be talking about it. We would require, as part of this, the GDP and to get an easement from the developer that would allow the city in the future, if there was a stormwater issue, to be able to go in there and help address it. So hopefully that would address this neighbor's concern about that. But like I said, the GDP wouldn't have, doesn't really address stormwater for the commercial properties in the future.
Okay, any further discussion? We have a motion and a second to waive the first reading. Roll call, please.
Gary Payson Jr.,
Yes.
Ken Minell,
Yes.
Carol Young,
Yes.
Tim Sharota,
Yes.
Ron Dunwoody,
Yes.
Scott McClory.
Yes.
And then we move on to the second reading.
I make a motion to approve the second reading.
Second?
And just for clarification, would that be with the proposed amended language proffered by,
Yes.
okay, thanks.
Just so the council is aware, I've reviewed the ordinance as to content and generalized form. You've had outside counsel review this, and I understand from talking with Adam that they've reviewed this as well and have approved it. So that's all been taken care of, and that you'll also see this again in the future for the specific implementation plan, which we don't have yet. So you're going to be seeing this a lot in the future. These issues should be addressed at that time.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Gary Payson Jr.,
Yes.
Ken Minell,
Yes.
Tim Sharota,
Yes.
Ron Dunwoody,
Yes.
Scott McClory,
Yes.
Carol Young.
Yes.
Okay, then we'll move on to a discussion of possible decision regarding application from Creekside Community Development for a CSM to create 2 commercial parcels from portion of the property located in tax key, as it's noted on your agenda.
I'd make a motion to approve that.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Gary Payson Jr.,
Yes.
Ron Dunwoody,
Yes.
Scott McClory,
Yes.
Ken Minell,
Yes.
Carol Young,
Yes.
Tim Sharota.
Yes. Then we've got a discussion of possible decision regarding conditional use permit for Mallory Meadows LLC for restaurant and outdoor seating.
Can we pause 1 second? Elaine, I think we're done with you. Have a great night.
Okay, great. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye. Sorry about that. Oh, wait. I need one of you to sign something. Who wants to stay and sign? Did I not bring it?
sign
It's
that,
in my
probably?
office.
Tommy needs it?
This. The development agreement. We need someone to sign.
Nobody leaves.
I need it notarized too. Corey, would you mind following them and notarizing that? Thank you.
Just for nothing, I guess.
Yeah, you don't get to play with yours.
Next time, next time.
Okay, sorry, back to C.
Yeah, this was brought up at Planning Commission, and this is Stillwater Coffee. That's the location we're talking about here. These people are going to expand a little bit, not building-wise, but a little bit more food. They do own a farm, and they're gonna bring in produce, make it kind of nice. And in the back part there, there's plenty of room for outdoor seating, and that's in this request here, and we didn't see any problem at all. You know, it's on their property, it's not intruding on anybody else's, so that's what Planning Commission did.
The only question I had is, unless I misread it, it says that under this proposal, outdoor seating would only be approved for 6 people? Is that a typo?
Yeah, that's gotta be a typo.
6
It's
people?
actually 6 separate seating areas, and the
Okay, that's not the way I
amount,
read it. That's why I
yeah,
asked.
the amount
Okay.
is undefined at the moment.
Okay, so as many tables and chairs as, okay. I thought that had to be a typo or my mistake or something.
A small coffee shop.
Well, I know it's a small, boutique, quaint shop or whatever, but
6 people.
6 people, it seemed like,
So I guess I would make a motion of, to approve that.
Second.
We had a motion and a second, further discussion?
Lacey, did you see my email on that late in the day?
I did.
Does that change anything?
I can tell people what is going on, but I don't think it really pertains to this specific part of the agreement.
Okay.
I'd like to know.
The applicants would like to serve beer and wine at this location. They're not sure if they want to move forward. My response was, we have licenses available, but it is not my job to let them know if they would be able to have one. They have to go through the alcohol license process, which they've not started yet. So I can't promise any sort of license available to them because I can't do my research yet. That's kind of, it's the whole chicken and the egg with someone starting something new or changing up something that's existing. And so I think, as far as my discussions have been with zoning, they're fine to do what they want to now, but reading through the business plan, I'm not quite sure they will be able to accomplish everything they have set out in there.
And my advice to Lacey was, unless they have specifically said in writing or otherwise that they don't want to proceed unless they got that, I don't want us to fail to pursue this right now, because then we would be at risk of developing or delaying a project and messing up somebody's timing without them wanting us to do that.
They did talk about that, okay, at the meeting. It wasn't that, you know, if we don't get this, we're not gonna move, I mean, basically, but they were interested in looking into it, I think is what they were.
Mhm.
So,
Are we maxed out on licenses?
Not the kind they're
Not-
looking for.
Okay.
However, it is quite a large plan that they have set before the city. So,
But they, we don't have to decide ahead of time before.
I think this is fine to approve the CUP as long as zoning and the plan commission is fine with it. The steps for an alcohol license are very different, and we would get to those details when we have an application in front of us, and the PD, city attorney, myself can meet, look over things. That's kind of a separate process. It's just one piece to the puzzle.
And they're looking for a B and C, not an A.
Okay.
right, so.
All right.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Ken Minell,
Yes.
Ron Dunwoody,
Yes.
Carol Young,
Yes,
Scott McClory,
Yes.
Gary Payson Jr.,
Yes.
Tim Sharota.
Yes. All right, then a discussion of possible decision regarding appointment of a temporary municipal judge from December 14th, 23 through April 30th of 24.
So I saw we had 2 applicants. I think it would make sense to have them actually come in and we conduct an interview.
My understanding, what we're here tonight for is just to move this thing along, and we'll have the applicants in at a later date.
I'll make the motion to move ahead with the
Is that, am I right on that, Adam?
Yeah, just one clarification. We had 2 applicants, one of whom met the council's requirements of having, being licensed to practice law in Wisconsin. So of the 2 applications, one meets your minimum requirement. So it's a, so yeah, we're looking for guidance as to whether you want them, the one applicant who is licensed to come in and either talk to the full council or to do an interview with the F&J committee and have the F&J committee make a recommendation to the council, or what's your?
My thought is just have them come in and do the whole council, and what's on paper is one thing, but what's, words coming out of people's mouths are another.
Are we done taking applications?
Yes.
That's
I
for
mean-
us to decide too.
We had a deadline, but if you guys wanted us to extend it, I guess we could. I just don't really think we have enough time.
And there aren't that many people that fit the criteria within the city limits. That's the problem.
Correct.
My question is, why would we consider both candidates if only one of them meets the minimum requirements? That doesn't seem like a task we'd want to undertake.
I understood Alderman Payson to be saying we wanted to meet with the one person who did meet.
Correct.
Oh,
The one that is
The
qualified.
one that is, okay, that's not the way I heard it.
I
disregard.
just want to make sure we're interviewing, is the bottom
I
line,
I agree. I totally agree. I thought you said interview them both.
originally, but then they said they weren't qualified.
I'm uncomfortable because we had a motion that was pro-offered, and then we never got to the second part before we launched into this discussion. So,
Maybe Tim should call a roll call vote.
so,
We need a motion on this, or is it just
Well, we need a
the,
second, I think.
the feeling of the council?
let's get a second if we can.
I'll second.
All right, so now we're legal. So, and if I understand the motion is to do this process that you described, Adam, as opposed to approving this individual?
Yeah, my question to the council was whether you want to interview the qualified candidate, and if you do want to interview, who do you want to conduct that interview, either the F&J committee or the full council?
Okay, the motion, then I'll amend that to move forward with interviewing the one candidate that meets the minimum criteria that we set out
In front of the full council, or?
in front of the full council.
Okay.
That's where it's going.
I like the full council too. Yeah.
All right.
And the second is amended as well?
Yes. Whoever,
Where's mine?
that was yours, I'll shut up.
I jumped the gun. I
Put that one on the
apologize.
calendar.
I forgot to wait for a second.
We've got a motion and a second. All in favor?
I want a roll call.
I wanted a roll call. I wanted to go 4 for 4 on a roll call vote. I
I
really
hate to tell you,
did.
if you want to demand a roll call, you can make that.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. I'll have to remember that for next time.
Motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?